Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Good morning. This is our visible satellite picture as of 10 a.m. And as you can see, high pressure is in control from the central Great Lakes all the way down into the Mid-Atlantic coastal waters. The powerful cold front that produced significant severe weather throughout much of New England and parts of the northern Mid-Atlantic is well off the coast. Now this cold front will continue to move to the east. Meanwhile, high pressure will remain in control through Saturday with clear skies, low humidity, and temperatures slightly above normal, ranging anywhere from the upper 70s to the mid 80s. Naturally, the warmest locations will be around the Delaware River Valley, and of course along the immediate coast, temperatures will be coolest due to the influence from the Atlantic. But overall, heading into this weekend, weather conditions are perfect to going down to the shore. Now there is one feature to keep an eye on in the Gulf of Mexico. That's a tropical disturbance that so far is slow in development, but it's something to keep an eye on because model guidance basically keeps this disturbed area meandering around the Louisiana and southern Texas coast and eventually moves it into the Mississippi River Valley. Right now, we're not expecting much in the way of development of this feature, but considering upper level high pressure is sitting right over the disturbance and there really isn't anything to disrupt the development of this feature, a slow development into a tropical depression and possibly even a tropical storm is possible and needs to be monitored over the next several days. This is the 500 millibar forecast from the GFS via the Penn State e-wall, and this is on Saturday evening. Now, the one thing I want you to realize here is that this pattern really isn't going to be changing between now and next week. In fact, I'll show you that in just a moment. But for Saturday, what we can pretty much expect is high pressure sitting up along the East Coast, another area of high pressure sitting around the Central Plains, and this high pressure system will prevent most precipitation events throughout much of the eastern United States. Now we do have a warm front that will be moving through the Great Lakes and eventually move through the northern Mid-Atlantic on Sunday, but because of all this substance, all this purple coloring here, that's sinking air, I really don't expect much in the way of precipitation with this warm front. In fact, I only have scattered clouds in the forecast for now. At most, a few isolated showers, but I think at this point, with the way that the 500 millibar pattern is developing, much of the upper level lifting associated with this warm front will be focused more towards the St. Lawrence River Valley and southeastern Canada, and not so much over the northern Mid-Atlantic or even New England. So I think Sunday is going to remain a mostly dry day, but there is an isolated shower threat for the most part. So if you're heading down to the shore on Sunday, continue on with your plans. Don't worry about it too much. I wouldn't stress about this. A brief shower, maybe 30 minutes at most, and then it's out of there. The big change on Sunday with this warm front and with high pressure sitting off of the East Coast is that humidity will be on the increase. So we can look at temperatures again returning to the lower 60s for lows on Sunday morning and a little bit higher humidity on Sunday afternoon. But temperatures will again remain in the upper 70s to mid 80s throughout the region. Meanwhile, our tropical disturbance is meandering around the central Gulf Coast. Doesn't look like it's going to have much in way of development, but we're going to have to keep an eye on this disturbance over the next several days. Tropical systems tend to have a mind of their own, and there's sometimes you have an upper level ridge sitting right over them. They're meandering and sitting over the Gulf of Mexico, and unexpected development could unfold. So we're going to keep an eye on that, especially for our friends along the Gulf Coast. Now, if this disturbance does develop, well, that's going to throw a monkey wrench into the forecast that I'm going to be showing, because then we're dealing with a lot more moisture sitting over the Mississippi River Valley and, of course, the southeast. That would eventually become entrained in this upper level pattern, which would basically send that moisture right up the East Coast. So it's something we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on. Now, let's move to Wednesday. I think you'll notice there really isn't much change in the pattern. So here we are on Wednesday, and you can see not much really has changed. We continue to have a strong ridge centered over the Mississippi River Valley, a northwesterly flow over New England and the northern Mid-Atlantic. Now there is one feature we're going to keep an eye on for early next week, and that is this backdoor cold front because of a strong disturbance sitting over the Canadian Maritimes. As of now, I think this backdoor cold front will remain north and east of the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area, keeping the region in the relatively warm and somewhat humid weather pattern setting up over much of the Ohio Valley and the southern mid-Atlantic to the southwest of this cold front. So basically continuing on with the upper 70s to mid 80s for highs, lows in the 60s, and slightly higher humidity, anywhere around 60 degrees for a dew point, will continue on through early and mid next week. Now, as these disturbances dive south and east towards the northern mid-Atlantic, they'll clip portions of the New York City and Philadelphia metro. I think mostly the northern New York City metropolitan area, talking about the Hudson Valley, parts of Connecticut, northwest New Jersey, are at the highest threat for showers or thunderstorms in this type of pattern. If you're down towards the Philadelphia metropolitan area, we're a little bit more sheltered away from those disturbances, and the threat for showers are far more isolated. But in this pattern overall, the hottest conditions remain over the Delaware, the Mississippi River Valley, and the southern plains, and we get a clipping of that warm, hot air mass setting over the central part of the country. So we miss the brunt of it, thankfully. Also notice our deep trough remains over the west. Our areas of low pressure continue to track from the southern plains towards the St. Lawrence River Valley and parts of central and southeastern Canada. Where basically the whole storm track is remaining to the north and to the northwest of the northern Mid-Atlantic and eastern Great Lakes. So really, we don't really have much in the way of a major storm developing at all. And of course, we still have our tropical disturbance meandering along the Gulf Coast that we're going to keep an eye on. But the key here to remember for this forecast is that what we get today is pretty much what we'll see throughout next week. Temperatures around 80 degrees, lows tonight in the 40s and 50s because of the dry air, but as we move towards the weekend, a little bit closer to 60. But most importantly of all, most locations will remain dry and very pleasant for any outdoor activity. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA Weather as your weather source for the northern mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day.